From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network at Troy, Alabama's International University, this is Troy TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision News for November 8, 2017. I'm Lauren Harkson.
And I'm Anna Kate Patterson. Thank you for joining us this evening.
For a few hours this morning, Troy University's Claudia Crosby Theater was the temporary home for the Alabama Supreme Court. The justices of Alabama's highest court held a special session this morning on the Troy University campus. The court heard a pair of cases before a public audience, including students of all ages. The court will routinely go on the road in order to give students and members of the public a more convenient opportunity to view a session. This was not the first time the Supreme Court had been on campus. The court held a special session on campus back in 1991.
Troy University Student Government Association is looking for ways to improve the way they serve students, and as Page Week shows us, the SGA has some creative ideas on how they get it.
As this semester draws to a close, Troy Student Government Association is taking students' feedback and putting it into action. In order to get that feedback, the SGA is tweaking some of their previous tactics to better suit students.
People can come up and actually get a prize or candy or something that they'll be interested in, but also we're going to have a small survey that with pointed questions so they can answer the question.
As students prepare to make one final push to get through the rest of this semester, the SGA hopes to hold events that will motivate and encourage students as they prepare for the next few weeks.
I don't want students to get so caught up with how they're done with this semester, how they're done, ready to be done with their finals, and I want them to still have fun and still try to take that break they need.
Barry says that taking breaks is important in order to aid students during their studying.
To support our groups on campus, to support our athletics, and to support themselves by getting some mental health time for them to go and have fun while they're still trying to do all their homework assignments and get ready for Christmas.
During the next few weeks, there will be several opportunities for students to get plugged into campus. Events include the ISCO Festival, Troy's last home game, Christmas concerts, and other Thanksgiving/Christmas themed events. Page Weeks, Troy TrojanVision News.
The SGA's next meeting will be next Tuesday at 6:30 in the Hawkins Hall Auditorium. The meetings are open to all students.
Ghost towns, narcotics, and buried treasure. No, we aren't talking about pirates, but the lost Antebellum, Alabama. Those treasures have been found by a self-made historian who presented a lecture in the library yesterday afternoon.
Treasure is not always discovered where X marks the spot. Sometimes you can find it right in your backyard. Jim Phillips, a collector and self-made historian, discusses the lost antebellum treasures of Alabama during a lecture in the Troy University Library.
I call it Lost Antebellum, Alabama. And it deals with old antebellum ghost towns, forgotten stagecoach routes. It's going to deal with some actual true stories of lost treasure and found treasure. All of it's antebellum.
Now, why bring a treasure-based, narcotic-filled lecture to the library of Troy University? Kelly Wilson, the social sciences and government documents librarian, explains.
We were thinking, treasures, that's interesting. That'll get their attention. It's really fascinating that all these treasures are still around and hidden. So we want to get students interested in history and wanting to learn about the past, wanting to learn about what has shaped us into the Alabama we are today.
Besides the Lost Antebellum, Alabama lecture, many events happen here at Troy University's library, free for students, faculty, and community members.
Please come. We have a lot of stuff lined up. Come in the library, see what we're doing. We're constantly revamping the library. What better way to find it than come to a lecture?
Next upcoming event in the library is called Witness to the Holocaust on November 15th. As the semester begins to wind to a close, many music organizations on campus are beginning to showcase their talent through recitals and concerts.
Last night, the Trumpet Studio had its turn with its fall recital. Nathaniel Rodriguez has the story.
Troy University's Trumpet Ensemble has performed their fall recital Tuesday night in the Long Hall Band Room, finishing off months of preparation. The performance featured pieces performed by the whole ensemble, as well as pieces chosen and performed by students in self-formed subgroups.
The students kind of form into their own groups, decide who they want to work with and how they might be best matched. And then the pieces that they performed, I generally guide them with a few suggestions and a few ideas, but it's up to them to make the final decisions of what pieces they decide to perform and work on this semester.
Huff said that performing in a chamber group like the Trumpet Ensemble presents the students with the challenge of executing individual parts on their own.
If they're in a large band, a lot of times there's multiple people on a part, and they can kind of go along with the flow. But when you're in a chamber music setting, particularly those smaller chamber groups that have no conductor, it's really up to them to make sure they've got an internal pulse going on, and that all of them are communicating and agree on tempo and style and articulation and volume and everything.
One student said performing independently also places even more responsibility on the part of the students.
Well, the best part about being in Trumpet Ensemble is the fact that you're away from the director, and it's basically you and your decisions and your group's decisions that matter, and it's a lot more individualized rather than, band and individual.
And with the recital finished, the Trumpet Ensemble plans to perform holiday music on campus sometime later in the semester. Nathaniel Rodriguez, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The next event on the School of Music's calendar is the Collegiate Singers Concert on November 17th.
Now, the latest in Trojan sports on Troy TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Vision Sports. I'm Sarah Drake. On Saturday, the Trojan football team will travel to Conway, South Carolina to take on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. However, senior Seth Callaway will be suspended for the first half this week following his ejection late in last week's 24-21 win over Idaho for targeting. Sophomore Anton Barker is listed as Callaway's backup, and head coach Neil Brown talks about the one thing the team is focusing on this week.
All we can control is our preparation from our body and our mind this week, all the way till Saturday afternoon. We can control that, and so that's kind of what we're focused on. And after this one, we'll worry about getting better during our bye week.
Troy and Coastal Carolina kick off from Brooks Stadium at 3:30 p.m. The game will be available on ESPN3 and the Troy Radio Network. The men's basketball team will be back in action this weekend, just not at home. The Trojans are traveling to Honolulu, Hawaii to take part in the Rainbow Classic. The men will face North Dakota, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Hawaii. And head coach Phil Cunningham talks about what to expect out of each team.
The second game, the opponent is going to play zone the entire game. Then the third opponent is totally different in the way they play offensively, and they run a set play every time down court. So that's where it really tests you is in terms of game preparation on short notice too. So the fact that we have a lot of experience back will I think really help us in that area.
The team will face off against the North Dakota Fighting Hawks Friday at 9:30 p.m. And after winning their exhibition game against AUM 79-54, the women's basketball team will be back in action this week in Trojan Arena. The Trojans take on the Stillman Tigers, and this is the first time that both teams have met. And head coach Shanda Rigby talks about one advantage the Trojans have.
Haven't played them before, and don't know extremely a lot about them, but we know we have a height advantage on them, so we're going to try to go into our post players a lot more in this game, and we'll see. We think they're going to play us some zone, which we've been preparing more for man-to-man teams, so we'll see if that presents a challenge.
The Trojans and Tigers tip off from Trojan Arena at noon.